Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's Calorie Crush. We're combining this with a get ready with me. It's like 6:30 in the morning, 6:25, something like that. And I am short of time this morning. And I thought I'd combine the two. Bear with. So I've got to get ready for work. And I've got to talk to you guys. So I thought I'd do the two together. So I'm going to straighten my hair. I've got my mirror here, so you have to excuse me if I'm not looking at you all the time. I'll glance up, obviously, but I'm going to have to look in the mirror to make sure that I've not straightened it in the wrong direction. And we'll talk about this week. Now, this week has not been a good week, eating-wise. In some ways, actually, it's been a brilliant week, eating-wise. Because this week I threw all thoughts of calorie counting, weight loss, healthy eating, nutrition, trying to be good, all of it, threw it out the window, jumped off the wagon, burnt the wagon, buried the pieces in the woods. Let's talk first about why. So, if you saw last week's Calorie Crush, you'll know that I was very disappointed with the results of getting on the scales. I gained 1.5 pounds last week. I had stayed under my calories almost every day. I had ended the week very much under calories, and that should have produced a weight loss. When it didn't, I was grumpy and cross and annoyed and put out and generally rebellious and what's the point, and there's no point even trying. I've done my best. I've tried really, really hard this week. I've said no to everything I want to say yes to. I should have got the result I wanted. So my toddler brain, and believe me, we all have them. Some of us are better at keeping our toddler brain under control than others, but we all have them. My toddler brain was livid. My toddler brain was stamping its feet and throwing all of its toys out the pram. Further compounded by my reaction to a couple of comments. So, one comment in particular was along the lines of, you can eat all the junk food you want, but don't come crying to us if you gain weight. Now, she went on to say, or that person, sorry, because I couldn't tell from the name whether that was a male or a female. That person went on to say that there was, you know, if there's no nutritional value in the food that you eat, then your body stores the fat differently. But they finished their comment by saying, I know you won't like this, but there it is. Firstly, let me clarify. When I don't like the way you guys speak to me, it's not that I don't like what you're saying, it's that I don't like the way you're saying it. You have the right to your opinion, firstly, and I will defend your right to your opinion to my dying breath. But I have the right to be spoken to politely. And some people, I feel, express themselves written in a way that they would never express themselves verbally. If they were talking to a friend, and the thing is that commenters say things like, I'm saying this because I see you as a friend. They say, not this particular comment, but, you know, I've been watching you for a long time. I'm very invested in your journey. I admire you as a person. I like your personality. I'm saying this because I'm your friend. I talk to my friends and I'm honest with them, but I'm not rude. And sometimes I think people express themselves in words in a way, on paper, in the written word, in a way that they wouldn't express themselves in person. I would never say to my friend Tammy, don't come crying to me if you lose weight. I would say to her, have you eaten the best that you could this week? Do you feel that everything you'd eaten was nutritious or whatever? I might say that, but I wouldn't aggressively say, well, it's your own stupid fault. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. And the reason I wouldn't do it is because it's not constructive. The reason it's not constructive is not because, oh God, I look like I'm doing yoga. It's not because it isn't saying what the person wants to hear. That's not what constructive means. Constructive doesn't mean saying what the person wants to hear. Constructive means saying what the person may need to hear in a way that they will be receptive to hearing. That's what makes it constructive, is that person then takes that on board. So this same commenter made another comment about how one processes a certain weight of chicken as opposed to something else. And that was really interesting, and it was so well put. And I was like, thank you for that. That's actually interesting. So I am totally on board with receiving other people's wisdom. But the moment that you are too blunt. And that's another thing that people do, is they go, oh, well, I just say it how it is. There's saying it how it is, and then there's saying it impolitely. Another way in which I felt misunderstood last week and put out was when I talked about not being able to exercise. And there was a suggestion made that I should do half an hour of exercise in the morning. And one of my other viewers pointed out that I already get up and do 2 hours of work in the morning before getting ready for work and leaving for a main job, blah, 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 and I don't have time, which is absolutely 100% true. And the response to that was, well, she could do the stuff she does in the morning in the evening instead. There's a reason I do eBay in the morning. And I've said that many times on my channel. It's because after 4 o'clock, my brain just dies. After 4 o'clock, my brain turns to mush. And anything I try to do, eBay-wise, after that, has to be very, very simple, like doing parcels. And even when I do parcels, sometimes I make mistakes if I do them in the evening. Because my brain just turns to mush. Possibly because it's been awake for almost, 14 hours by then or whatever. So there's a reason why I do the things I do in the order I do them. And so I felt angry and misunderstood and kind of, oh, you say you watch all the time and then you don't even know me. And because my childish brain was taken over, it all hurt a bit more, it all stung a bit more. And something else that people say is, just ignore the rude comments and just focus on the support. But as I've said to Caroline before, if somebody breaks wind in a large room, you still smell it. It could be a room full of fresh air. But if somebody breaks wind, you still notice it. I guess what I'm saying, what we're leading up to here, is I kicked off. I threw all my toys out the pram. I went, there's no point calorie counting because no matter what I do, it doesn't work. There's no point being good because I'm misunderstood. Another commenter came back, having left the channel because she couldn't stand it because I was annoying. She came back to see if anything had changed. And her comment was, well, I came back to see if anything changed, but you still haven't lowered your calories. And again, my reaction was, I did lower my calories. I ate about 1,800 every day last week. I did do it, I did. And I'm stamping my feet and I'm throwing my toys out the pram. And I'm going, it's not fair. And do you know what happens when it's not fair? I rebel. And I go, I'm just going to do what I want. And I did. As I said to you, I got off the wagon, I set fire to the wagon, and I buried the pieces of the wagon in the woods, and off I went on my merry way. And I have eaten, this week, everything I wanted. In a way, it's been good, because something that people said was, oh, maybe it's time for a reset. A lot of people on various weight loss support groups and in various places say every now and again, if you have a week when you don't stick to your diet, if you have a week when you just ignore all of it, it resets and gets you going again. So we'll see if that's happened, because oh my God, have I enjoyed the food this week? Oh yes. I have had cake, Chinese takeaway, roast dinner on which I did not even bother to count calories. Tammy and I had pie. I haven't had pastry. I avoid pastry because everybody knows pastry is terrible. Terrible calories in pastry. So I haven't had pastry in I don't know how long. And I bloody love pies. I bloody love a pie, as you can tell. I look like I love a pie. So I had pie and mash. Didn't have dessert because after the pie and mash I was too full. I've eaten chocolate this week. And you might be thinking, well, you eat all that stuff anyway, that's why your bloody diet isn't working. But this week I've really eaten. This week I have eaten the way I used to eat. This week, if I have wanted it, it has gone in my mouth without a second thought. The amount of cake I've ate this week would have given afternoon tea to everyone who was celebrating the Queen's Jubilee. Trifle. I ate trifle this week. I wouldn't go near trifle. Normally I like trifle, but I wouldn't go near it because, oh my God, no trifle. Bread! I've eaten enough bread this week to sink a ship. At the Jubilee party on Saturday that I went to with my mum, I must have had about 20 sandwiches. They're little sandwiches, so it doesn't count. But yeah, so much bread. And I try normally to keep my bread under control. Not this week. Basically, I've done what I wanted. And I've told myself, hang the consequences. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm going to do what I want. towards the end of the week I started going, this is a bit like, it's a bit like using a credit card. What I've borrowed this week is going to have to be paid back. Let's get on the scales and see just how much debt I've put myself in. Last week I weighed £244. Well, it's Monday. It's moment of truth time. 278.4, I round that up to 278.5. That's a £4.5 gain. £4.5 on. Now, we know, despite what I've ate this week, we know that you don't gain £4.5 of fat in a week. We know this because you just don't. Some of it will be water weight, some of it will be salt retention, some of it will be my body going, what the hell's going on here? Why have we got pastry? All of that stuff. Some of it is definitely fat. We'll see next week how much of that is a realistic gain, because any water weight and salt retention and all that will come off in the next couple of days. So by next week, I do not expect for that entire £4.5 to come off. I expect whatever is left when I get on the scales next week to be the actual fat that I gained. I hope that makes sense. Am I bothered? I don't think I am. Do I feel guilty for letting myself go? In a way, yes. In a way, I'm doing that. You've only let yourself down. But in another way, I feel almost like I've got something out of my system, like things like the pie that perhaps have been playing on my mind. Oh, I don't even have that anymore. Got it out of my system, and maybe it'll be all right now for a bit. I'm interested to see if this taking a week off really does help to reset your weight loss. Interestingly, it has helped to reset my mind. Somebody said to me a long time ago that she'd been on a diet for a while, and every now and again she had a bit of time off. Hang on while I unplug my straighteners. Every now and again she had a bit of time off, and that she found towards the end of that time off, she started craving fresher, better, nutritious food. And at the time I listened to that and thought, yeah, right, can't see me craving fresher, better, nutritious food. But actually, I can see her point now. So I'm not going out with this massive 8 head on display. I'm just going to do my eyes. Why I have a fringe. Yeah, actually now I can see her point. Because having had everything I wanted, all of the sugar, all of the fat, all of the pastry, all the carbs, like all the carbs in the world, now I'm kind of like, quite fancy a salad. Quite fancy some veg. Quite fancy calming it down a bit and having some fruit. So hopefully, going forward, corporate speak, hopefully going forward, sorry, I realise I look like an egg, but we're sorting that out gradually. Hopefully going forward, things are going to be better. By the way, I'm just going to plug this. I'm not affiliated, although there will be an Amazon link, which I do get like a penny if you buy one. It's the Foera eyeliner stamp. It's changed my life. It has 2 ends, one for left, one for right, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the little shape there. Especially since I haven't got my specs on, so I can't see what I'm showing you. Hang on, let's try that again. So the end is shaped. You can't see it, you have to believe me. And it makes a little wing stamp, and then you just join up your actual eyeliner with it, and it's changed my life. And it's about £4 or something. It might be £6, I can't remember. I'll link it below. Oh my God. Let me just do my eyes. 2 seconds. So you do one side, then you change over to the other end, do the other side. And then you get your liquid eyeliner and join them up. Not the 2 eyes, not across the nose, not like adamant. Et voila. I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And like I said, it was very, very cheap. Mascara next. So yeah, hopefully I've got it all out of my system. I've got a bit of a reset. I've got over the fact that I'm misunderstood by my viewers. I've got over the fact that some people are a little bit too blunt when they phrase their criticisms. I think what I really want to say is, if you want to help me, maybe you don't want to help, and that's okay. But if you want to help me, please be aware that the only way that I will take anything you say on board is if you are polite. Because the moment you are too blunt, I shut down. I don't want to hear it. I get rebellious. I get angry that you've not been polite. And don't ever speak to me like I'm stupid, because I've got a real chip on my shoulder about that. Real chip. Hang on, let's put some eyebrows on. Yeah, massive, massive chip on my shoulder about being spoken to like I'm stupid. Again, childhood issues that rear their ugly head. Don't speak to me like I'm an idiot. Even if you think I'm an idiot, you have the right to think I'm an idiot. Of course you do. And again, I will support your right to think whatever you want. But if I think you're an idiot, I try not to say so. I expect the same courtesy that I extend to others, which is I attempt to be polite. And there was a comment a couple of weeks ago where somebody was less than polite, and when I was less than polite back, they responded, "See, I knew you were a rude, horrible person." And I thought, that's like hitting someone, and then when they hit you back, saying, "See, I knew you were violent." Because I am always polite until you are not. Always. In fact, sometimes the ruder people get, the more polite I get in response. I get very Jane Austen at times. I start to get a bit 17th century. Anyway, I'm not sure what this bit's doing. I might have to turn the straighteners back on to have a word with that bit. Oh, I've unplugged them, hang on. So there it is. There is the face that's going out into the world, and there is how this week has been. I have to take another £4.50 off of this board, and that is distressing, because this board is going to look ridiculous again. I need to take off a full one and put my half on. That's 5 off, and a half back on, meaning a 4.5 in, and a half on the floor. Hang on. There we go. I took 5 off, put a half back on, so £4.50 gain. Meaning my weight loss now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stone, £3.5. And that's annoying. That's disappointing. I have let myself down and I know it. However, I do feel like some of that will go next week, because, as I say, some of that is not all fat. It is what it is, as I continually say, and I'm going to try to undo some of the damage and get back on track and go downstairs in a minute and make myself my lunch for today, which is going to be salady bits, because I really do feel like my body would benefit from having something that's a bit green and fresh and not beige and made of pastry. I'm going to try to come back off the bread again this week, because bread and me, I'm like a drug addict when it comes to bread. Once I start, I cannot stop. So yeah, I appreciate when you guys want to help, but I would appreciate it more, and I would be much more likely to take your help on board if you read back what you had written before you pressed send and asked yourself, if I was speaking to a person in real life, a friend in real life, would I phrase it that way? Am I coming across as just rude, even though you may not intend it that way? Ask yourself if it's coming across that way. And remember that when you're saying this to someone who's already feeling a little bit tender, a little bit sensitive. Sorry, I couldn't get the word sensitive in my head. You talk to someone who's already feeling a bit sensitive, so I'm more likely to take offence. I'm more likely to be hurt by your words. I'm already feeling a little bit defensive, because I already know that I'm not doing as well as I could do, as well as I should do. And so I'm already on the defensive. So it won't take much for me to go... It's been a weird one this morning. It's not been the usual calorie crush. But during it, I've managed to produce a face that shouldn't scare too many people in the office. Unlike the one that probably frightened you when you opened this video first thing this morning. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to those of you who support me and are polite. Thank you to those of you who want to help, even though you don't always get it right. To those of you who just come to crow over the fact that I'm a failure, you're welcome. While you're giving it to someone, you're sparing somebody else, eh? I will be back next Thursday. There's no food diary this week, by the way. Funny that. Funny how I didn't record what I was eating. Fancy that. I'll be back next week with a bit more normal calorie crush. Hopefully with a bit of a better piece of news to share with you. And I'll see you then. Take care. Bye for now.